Have you ever given thought to what really happened to Jenny Blaylock, the private pilot who shared her life in the skies on YouTube channel TN Flygirl? On December 7th, 2023, Jenny was flying with her father when their plane tragically crashed, killing both of them. The investigations by the National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, is still in its early stages, and a final report might not be available for a year or even longer. These kinds of investigations are often long and detailed, as they must thoroughly examine all factors before conclusions are drawn. So, what crucial details about the accidents could be uncovered? Could something have been overlooked that led to this tragedy? And most importantly, is there something bigger they are trying to hide? Here is what we know so far. Jenny Block was born on July 8, 1979, and graduated from the University of Tennessee with a bachelor's degree in human resources. She was known for her drive and determination, always striving to achieve more. By 2021, at the age of 45, Jenny had become an internet sensation after she began documenting her journey of learning to fly on her popular YouTube channel. Her father, James Blaylock, who was 78 at the time of his death, was more than just a parent to Jenny, he was her best friend. James, also known as Jim, or by his nickname Buck, was a constant presence in Jenny's life. Jenny's heartbroken partner, Brett Thies, reflected this close bond in a Facebook post, writing, "Jenny and her dad were not just daughter and father, they were best friends and did everything together." Despite being featured in some of Jenny's YouTube videos, James preferred to stay out of the public eye. Not much is known about his personal life or career. On December 7th, 2023, tragedy struck when Jenny and her father were killed in a plane crash over a remote area of Tennessee. Rescue services faced challenges reaching the crash site due to its location. The pair was flying in Jenny's Beechcraft 35 when the aircraft crashed near Pulaski at around 11:15 a.m. Their bodies were discovered next to the single-engine plane, just 10 miles short of the nearest airport, near the Alabama border. Flight data shows they had traveled 180 miles from Knoxville before the crash. The cause of the crash is still under investigation, and it may be some time before we have any definitive answers. The crash occurred just days after Jenny posted a final video of her joyfully flying with her father. In an eerie twist, a month earlier, she had shared footage of an emergency landing she had to make after an aircraft malfunction at 4,000 feet. In that video, Jenny asked her flight instructor, "Are we going to make it?" after realizing the plane's battery had died mid-flight. Despite the danger, Jenny remained calm and skillfully landed the plane safely. "It's never happened to me before," she later told her subscribers. Following the crash, Bill Myers, director of the Giles County Office of Emergency Management, spoke to 10 News, saying, "It was just devastating. Unfortunately, there were no survivors." The Blaylock family expressed their gratitude to the community in a statement saying, "We would like to thank the community for their outpouring of love and support during this unimaginable loss of two precious members of our family, Jenny and Jim Buck Blaylock." Indeed, it was a tragic loss for the family, and an irreparable one at that. But Jenny had always been the type of person who, when she set her mind to something, made sure it got done. As evident that despite being a successful entrepreneur, at one point, she decided that she wanted to become a pilot. And from there, she began documenting her journey on both Instagram and YouTube. Unfortunately, all the videos she created about her flying adventures have been removed from her YouTube channel, TN Flygirl. It is hoped that the NTSB is able to retrieve those videos from the family, as they could play a crucial role in helping investigators piece together what happened. Based on the content in her videos, which will be shared with you later. They could provide valuable insight into the events leading up to the tragic crash. Meanwhile, over on Instagram, Jenny went by the username 865flygirl. While some of her videos are still available on that platform, the content is nowhere near as detailed as what was once found on her YouTube channel. Her Instagram posts give us a glimpse into her passion for aviation, but they lack the depth and details that her YouTube videos provided. Solo flights and the check flight. When Jenny began her flight training, she purchased a 1969 Piper Cherokee in early September 2021. This aircraft became central to her journey toward becoming a pilot. Based on the timeline shared through her Instagram account, it is known that her third solo flight took place on September 26, 2021. However, it would be nearly 8 months before she successfully passed her private pilot check ride, which occurred on May 15, 2022. Her Instagram post celebrating this major achievement reflects the same excitement and sense of accomplishment felt by anyone who has dedicated significant time and effort to mastering the skill of flying. Earning a pilot's license is no small feat. It requires perseverance, a strong work ethic, and a commitment to learning. Yet, the real question for the NTSB to consider in their investigation is whether Jenny was truly prepared for the responsibilities of being a pilot. Solo flights are a critical step in the training process, but they don't always fully demonstrate readiness for every possible scenario in the sky. This presents a potential issue. Could her training have fallen short in some way before she received her final certification? Passing a check ride is a critical step, but it doesn't always guarantee that someone is fully ready to face the challenges and risks that come with piloting an aircraft. This is something the NTSB will need to examine closely as the investigation progresses. The investigation must explore whether all necessary factors were adequately evaluated to ensure safety, as not every individual who passes a check ride may be fully equipped for the demands of flying. Purchasing a new aircraft shortly after the check ride. What's particularly notable is the decision to purchase a new aircraft just 2 months after passing the check ride. On July 14, 2022, a post was shared announcing, "So today, I did a thing. Goodbye to my Piper, hello to my Beechcraft family." The new aircraft was a 1965 Beechcraft 35 C-33 Debonair. This decision raises questions, as the Piper Cherokee used throughout the training period is widely regarded as a solid choice for a newly certified pilot. It is a stable, reliable aircraft that provides a sense of familiarity, which can be especially important in the early stages of solo flying. It's usually advised to continue flying the same aircraft you used for training, at least temporarily, after obtaining your pilot's license. This enables new pilots to increase their flight time and boost their self-assurance when operating alone before switching to a different aircraft. Making such a change might occasionally present unusual difficulties, particularly for a pilot with little experience. She was thought to have fewer than 100 flight hours at the time she bought the Beechcraft Debonair. Although switching to a more complicated aircraft so quickly may not have been a huge mistake in judgment, it is probable that some of the issues that would eventually come to light in her social media posts over the course of the next year and a half were caused by this decision. These videos started to highlight certain transitional problems that, looking back, might have contributed to the unfortunate conclusion. Flying techniques and autopilot use. Although her Beechcraft's autopilot received a lot of attention in the videos, there are other significant factors to take into account. These little-known facts might provide information not only about the crash's cause, but also about something that hasn't received much attention up to this point. A close examination of these movies may reveal anything that has been overlooked in the investigation of her last journey up to this point. In this specific clip, the aircraft is scheduled to take off from Rockwood Municipal Airport's runway 04 and land at Knoxville Downtown Island Airport. Although there are several gaps in the tape, the ADS-B data from this flight is accessible. The data, however, displays the flight path following the aircraft's takeoff. The airplane turned too sharply to the east, which caused it to drift southwest instead of continuing on its original course. This is the first thing that strikes out. Pay close attention to what unfolds next, as the events that follow could provide key insights. Additionally, listening to the commentary and radio communications during this segment could reveal critical information regarding her actions and decisions in the moments leading up to the incident. It becomes evident that the aircraft is heading in the wrong direction. A corrective turn to the left was initiated, but once again, the turn was too wide, causing the plane to veer northeast. This error is clearly reflected in the ADS-B data, and for those watching the video closely, the airfield can be seen in the frame off the left side of the aircraft. At this stage, a simple 45-degree turn to the right would have aligned the plane on the correct course. Instead of making this necessary adjustment, the decision was made to engage the autopilot. What happened after this choice provides critical insight into the unfolding situation and the challenges encountered during the flight. Autopilot use is common among pilots, and it can be incredibly helpful, especially when flying in challenging weather conditions, provided it's used correctly. However, it's essential to demonstrate the ability to fly the aircraft manually before relying on autopilot systems. The key point is that when engaging autopilot, there should be complete confidence in understanding its function and exactly where it will guide the aircraft. It is understood that there were some early issues with the autopilot system in this particular aircraft, which required repairs. Despite those early challenges, the focus during this flight appears to be more on the technology than on the fundamental task of flying. Instead of simply navigating visually or flying a specific heading, there is a notable preoccupation with gadgets, such as the iPad. This distraction may have contributed to the errors in navigation during the flight. On a positive note, both the pilot and her father were wearing their restraints properly, which is a crucial safety measure. Too many accidents involve pilots and passengers who fail to wear restraints or only wear lap belts, making this a commendable practice. However, as seen in the ADS-B data, the autopilot initiated a right turn, and at some point, it appears there was discomfort with its course, leading to the autopilot being disengaged. Unfortunately, instead of correcting the direction, the right turn continued until the aircraft was nearly pointed northwest, almost the exact opposite direction from the intended path. Interestingly, neither the pilot nor her father seemed to acknowledge that they were flying back over the runway from which they had just departed. There was no clearing for traffic, nor were there any radio calls made to inform others of the deviation from their intended course. This lack of communication and awareness presents additional factors that could have influenced the flight's outcome. They ended up performing a full 360-degree turn west of the airfield, then proceeded north before heading back to the southwest, only to complete another full circle. Eventually, they managed to set off in the correct direction. It's important to note that this flight took place in January 2023, nearly 8 months after obtaining the private pilot certificate. Numerous flights had been completed within that time, which makes it all the more baffling to witness such confusion during this particular flight. Becoming disoriented and off course for nearly 15 minutes, while still within visual range of the very runway that was just departed, is no small oversight. It is perplexing to see this unfold, especially given the level of training and experience gained over the preceding months. It's essential to take a hard, objective look at the factors that contribute to such a mishap. This includes evaluating the decisions and errors made, even if it involves being critical of others' actions. The purpose of a pilot debrief in any field is to be brutally honest about what went wrong, with the goal of learning and improving for future flights, or, in this case, to help prevent another tragedy from occurring. This approach to evaluation applies not only to aviation, but can be extended to other industries as well, where critical reflection is key to preventing future mistakes. Not understanding automation properly. There are several key aspects worth highlighting regarding Jenny's videos, particularly something not widely discussed about the crash. According to the NTSB's preliminary report, the flight originated in Knoxville, Tennessee, with a destination of Benton, Arkansas. It was conducted under Visual Flight Rules, VFR, and Jenny had requested VFR flight following, a service offered by air traffic control when possible to provide pilots with helpful advisories during their flight. In this instance, the air traffic controller did a commendable job, quickly noticing that the aircraft had deviated left of its intended course. Jenny acknowledged this observation, replying that she was correcting the course. However, moments before the crash, her altitude fluctuated significantly, which raises concerns about her control over the aircraft. Her difficulty maintaining a stable altitude wasn't entirely unexpected, as previous videos shared on YouTube showcased similar struggles. Early analysis of the ADS-B data, combined with insights from her earlier flights, suggests that she may have lacked a full understanding of how to properly use the autopilot system. It appears likely that she overused the aircraft's trim controls in an attempt to adjust altitude manually. This excessive use of trim, especially pushing the nose down too much, may have contributed to the plane entering a dangerously steep descent. Ultimately, the aircraft descended at an alarming rate of almost 12,000 feet per minute, reaching speeds of up to 228 knots. In such a rapid descent, it would have been incredibly difficult, if not impossible, to regain control in time to prevent the tragic crash. This sequence of events underscores the importance of understanding both manual and automated flight controls to ensure safe and effective flying. Faulty debrief practices. One significant aspect overlooked in the discussions surrounding the tragic death of Jenny Blaylock and her father is the missed opportunity to conduct proper debriefs that might have saved their lives. Jenny had almost all of her flights carefully documented, so she had all the resources she needed to do a pilot debrief. It's crucial to stress, though, that a pilot's first priority should always be operating the aircraft, not assembling cameras for social media posts or iPhones or GoPros. She was determined to record her journey, but it seems that no one gave her the essential instructions on how to do an exhaustive pilot debrief. Since almost all of her flights were captured on film, she had a great tool for self-evaluation and progress, but there were significant gaps in her learning due to inadequate debriefing training. Regretfully, she failed to address the recurrent problems that might have contributed to the crash, since she did not engage in a systematic reflection process regarding her flying. A snippet from one of her previous flights is the worst portion, saved for this very occasion. Her comments in the video demonstrate a concerning lack of awareness and decision-making that may have been avoided with better post-flight assessments. The manner she handled her own debrief is far more concerning than the actual flight in her own video. She was more concerned with making material for YouTube than she was with critically analyzing how to become a safer and more competent pilot. She makes fun of herself in the video for not understanding how to turn on or correctly use the autopilot. Her failure to disclose that she lost her bearings before takeoff on a perfectly clear VFR day, no less, while traveling between two airports that she was already familiar with is extremely troubling. This lack of self-evaluation draws attention to a more serious problem: the disregard for the significance of a comprehensive debrief. It's imperative to frank and improvement-focused evaluations of each flight. Being truthful and occasionally critical is crucial for anybody in a supervisory position, including pilots and instructors, even if it makes them uncomfortable. This sincere introspection might be the difference between a successful flight and a disastrous conclusion. Effective debriefing is essential for everyone's safety as well as for personal development. It is hoped that people viewing will take this seriously and learn from these blunders. Teachers also need to make sure that their pupils know the importance of a comprehensive debrief. Lives can be saved in this way. The sad deaths of Jenny and her father could teach the aviation community a very important lesson. Maybe in light of this, their passing will contribute to averting disasters in the future. If you have come this far, be sure to check out other videos on the channel.